The embedded support that CAIPAS gave us this year for our first year students was really important, because one thing that we have noticed with our first years is that not only do they of course find their first assessments challenging, but actually they don't have a great handle on what it means to be an undergraduate, to study at degree level. Not least of all because many of them come from widening participation backgrounds, where they're the first in their family to come to higher education, or because English is their second language, and many of them have studied in their countries where they were born or brought up, and they have a different education system to that in the UK. So it's really important for us to establish very early on in their academic lives that not only are there certain academic techniques that they ought to be getting to grips with, like referencing and having an introduction and conclusion and these sorts of things, signposting their work in their text, but CAIPAS has been really important because it's embedded a sense of what it is to be an undergraduate, and that is really important, something that lasts well beyond, of course, one module. It would last them right the way through their undergraduate studies. And in the past, we've tried to convey this with limited resources, that limited resource being me standing up in a big lecture theatre and giving out the information, trying to get across what it is that studying at this level requires them to become critical thinkers and reflective about their work. That it requires choices about what information to include and exclude because they're forming arguments, and that being an undergraduate isn't about just putting as much information down as possible about a particular topic. So while I've tried to say that to them in a big lecture hall, it hasn't really stuck in the past, and having CAIPAS being able to go into smaller groups, which is what the team did for us, is that each week they would take a small group and give them these kind of ideas through very specific and detailed tasks that they would set to illustrate that when you read a piece of text, and they would often just give like a small paragraph, and you're trying to extract information from that text, you're not just looking for kind of repeating it, but maybe in your own words. What you're trying to do is to extract the key points, what you think is important, and that's how, as undergraduates, you stamp your mark on a piece of work, not by being original, but by making those decisions about what is important in what you're reading. And so for me, CAIPAS was really important for that very general and universally needed mindset for students to understand what it is to be an undergraduate. And then on the social problems module, where we used the support, it was very useful for the specific assessment tasks. Again, these assessment tasks will crop up during their 3 years of undergraduate study, but for them to know the difference between short answer questions and how you might approach them, longer essay questions, presentations. We did a chapter review of a book, the social problems textbook that myself and colleagues wrote. CAIPAS again was absolutely key, because breaking that detail down in smaller groups and them having the kind of knowledge to do that, whereas we try to do it as seminar tutors, but not really with the same effectiveness, because we're always concentrating on the content of the subject, whereas the team from CAIPAS, while they had a good handle of the content of the subject, and I know that that's important for academic support, they had the knowledge of the more generalised ways of thinking about the task and assessment and how to approach it, and that was really extremely useful. Judging from the feedback of the students and so far from the assessment, it's gone really, really well. The students, we had to divide up the groups week by week, and we did it. We had 3 assessment tasks, so they all got to go to the CAIPAS team for the 3 assessment tasks. And once we'd done the first assessment task, they all wanted to do the second one, like in the next week. So we had to sort of, say, no, don't worry, you all get a chance. So there was definitely an enthusiasm for the classes, without a doubt, and the results have been good. The marks have been solid, and obviously there's a range, but I would say we'd be hoping to have a really successful module this year, and I think a lot of that is down to the academic support of CAIPAS.